Welcome back to OmEn Online, our second episode in the new undisclosed location. Oh man, this is great. We got another great show for you. First off, hit that subscribe button.
Hit the like button.
And don't forget that bell.
Ding dong. Forget that bell. Leave a comment. If you got any topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to leave them. If you got anything you just
If you don't leave us comments, how are we supposed to know what to talk to you about?
Oh man,
but we pretty much just talk about what we want anyway, and you listen. But we would take more into consideration.
Definitely want to hear from you guys. Really great show. Hope you enjoy it. Oh man, here we are. We've got, of course, we got Jax back with us again. Had a really great time with him last episode. And our equipment operator last episode, Erik. Excellent having you actually on the show with us today.
The bar back for the tea.
Right.
Hey, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. And actually, our guest today, Erik, has actually participated in a couple movies. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, he's correct. They met me in Mother Russia, and they're very good Americans. See, I do my best. See, I do what I can, and I piss on plants in my neighbor's rose garden. Because it's fertilizer, help the roses grow. I do my part whenever I can. I'm doing a very good part in the community.
Oh man, I hope you brought the vodka with you. That's a long trip. You have a nice flight? Your arm's tired?
No, because I didn't have a nice flight because I had no vodka.
They kept him sober.
I don't think it's funny. Why are they laughing at me, man?
I don't know, man. In Russia, planes fly you.
Wait.
Yeah, like I said, the place where he's from a Bermuda Triangle. I want to hear your story too, because I heard your story on the internet. You people vanish in and out of existence.
Yes, we do.
Tell them more about it. I mean,
there's really not much to say, I want to leave that.
Hey, where'd you go, man?
That mystery.
He vanished again. You can see him on camera, but I can't see him. I can't even touch him. He's not there, man.
Oh,
Bermuda Triangle.
That's great. I can see this being a really fun time, man. I can see this being a really fun time for this episode. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was raised in the pits of hell, but I have mercy on the Lord, and the Lord has mercy on me. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just joking. I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky. I raised up poor as hell, and I won the lottery. And with the lottery winnings, I make these films.
Wow! I want to win the lottery.
Me too.
I won the lottery, man. I didn't know the
I already gave you one, man. I already bought your house, man.
In the Bermuda Triangle.
In the Bermuda Triangle.
That's why I came.
Sorry, man. Your head.
Exactly.
Well, it'll be there in a second. Just give it about 10 for 6.
Oh.
Pop up in the years.
So you actually you work with Johnny during his night job? Is that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Well, what are you saying sorry for, man?
Because we went at the same time. I thought you were talking to me, but you were
I'm
actually
talking
talking
to
to him.
both
Oh, okay. I like to consider my job as being an alchemist.
Alchemist. There we go. Old school.
It's what makes it seem cool to me and makes me, actually enjoy doing my job, because my job gets pretty boring and mundane.
Right.
But it does suck sometimes. But that's any job.
The boring and mundane must be the interesting part of it.
It's going to mix mercury with aluminum and a red gold. We made a profit off of it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry.
Was that the philosopher?
No, it's private. That's
show?
private. It's between me and him. Shh.
But he's still driving the Kia.
It's part of the disguise.
You gotta stay low key, like that, because you can't just all of a sudden show up rich and not have a way to explain how you got it.
Edit that out.
Oh man, oh that's great. As you know, me and Johnny talked about this last episode. We've done haunt acting before. I've actually been in a music video that never got released. Thank you.
I've been in a couple music videos, some promo videos. You've been on the news before because of it.
Yeah. Haunted industry actors. It's definitely a fun job,
But it's a lot more work than people think it is.
definitely is. But this guy with us today, definitely a character.
I don't believe he's ever acted in a haunted house. He just acts.
I would love to see him in a haunted house, though.
I'd like to see what he would do if given a good character.
There you go.
And a character is all about it. I come up with a new character every year because I like being original.
Right,
That's just
right.
my thing. If I can't do something original, I don't enjoy it.
At the same time, we're going to throw a little promo at the end of this episode for new show
That's gonna be coming
That's
out.
going to be coming out. What's it called again?
Seconds left.
Seconds Left.
Well, now, that's an interesting title, so can you give us kind of a premise of what this is about? I like it, though. It sounds good.
You don't have much time left, do you? Judgment Day is coming soon.
That's great. So you was telling us a little bit about it before we started the episode. It's going to be like short horror stories.
Anthology series based on horror and terror and mystery and comedy.
That's awesome. That's
Comedy
awesome.
tragedy plus time equals comedy.
All right, Pat Oswald.
It's true. Clapping for jokes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And of course, Jack's back with us again. We really enjoyed having you last time. You had a lot of good information. Definitely our local car guy.
Yeah.
So-
I'm trying to keep with the city knowledge.
I've been kind of wanting to talk about UFOs and stuff, aliens and shit. Anybody else?
Yeah, sure.
Down. What the heck?
Yeah, sure. Area 51.
Yeah, so when's that going down?
Well,
Right,
it's supposed to
hold
go
on.
down on the 21st.
I showed you.
But I doubt it.
I showed you a piece of metal that I scrapped from there. You said you didn't like it.
Oh, no, it's fine.
It's called Area 51.
Now you remember how everybody was supposed to raid Area 51, right?
It's supposed to be coming up. on
Well,
the
a lot of
21st
people
September.
actually
News,
are already
okay.
getting arrested
It's
for
a
it.
joke. It's a joke. It began as a joke, and he actually explained it as a joke.
Right,
But some
right.
people take it very
Well,
seriously.
I like that one meme I saw. If we're going after Area 51, Europe needs to go after the Vatican. You know, them with the predators and us with the aliens.
Yeah.
Yacht
We take the aliens, you take the predators.
He means the yachtjas and the xenomorphs.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Ooh, he got technical. See, I didn't even know that term.
I knew the
I knew the
xenomorphs.
xenomorphs.
I couldn't remember that. I've read it before because I used to read the
Just want to see those
Robin.
Naruto runners running across area.
Right. Let's see if they can dodge the 50 cal.
I think he'd be Killer B.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure they got enough ammo, but don't be
Oh, there's
stupid. It's a
ammo.
joke.
There's fucking lot.
Don't go to
I'm
Area
sure there's.
51. What are you, crazy? Hello, no, it's a joke.
The funniest part is, yeah, we would love to know what's in there, but at the
Definitely.
same time, just think about how much your mind would explode, how crazy you would go before you could, come back to sanity. How deep down the rabbit hole do you really want to go?
You know what I really want to...
deep. I get my crew together to be like a scene from Mad Max. We just everything. Just busting through that gate.
I'm not sure I want to see what's beyond those gates.
A good question, though. Do you believe in aliens? Do you think there's a little
And
extraterrestrial
I really
life
don't
out there?
want to see them because I don't care.
Right.
Well, what if we met aliens and everything was all good and you fell in love with one of them and her and her tentacles?
If they had technology to give me a third testicle, like to help me out when I'm in a date, yeah, cool.
Maybe they're the only ones
But
that ignore
if you think about it, if there's extraterrestrial life out there, if you think about this, they've got such good technology that they could travel through the stars, through solar systems in a reasonable amount of time. They're probably going to look at us the same way we look at a colony of ants.
I mean, me and my buddies already known as the Morena Busters, so a few centimeters will be fine.
He wouldn't say he had an enlargement.
Of course, the vehicle technology.
Well, while you're on that,
That'd be
I wouldn't
cool.
mind give me 7 inches more.
I don't need that.
Star.
I'm good.
Hell yeah, go with 20 inches.
Hey, but you brought up something good. I would like to see some good vehicular technology,
I mean,
man.
it would have
Flying
to be.
cars. Just think of back in the day when they was all talking about the year 2000.
2015.
2015, we would have flying cars.
Back to the Future Part 2.
Oh man.
I mean, we do know this much. It is where they keep all the experimental stealth craft, like even the SR-71 Blackbird. Everybody knows about that.
Yeah.
Now-
but the Taxi Blue,
The stealth
that's
bomber was
like
there
regular
originally.
Taxi Blue, the stealth bomb was there. But there's the experimental ones like the Taxi Blue and kept there.
Or like what Bob Lazar was talking about when he worked on alien spacecrafts there.
Elements, and all that stuff.
Element 115.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he was working on a way to basically turn gravity off there. It was already
It's a
built,
reverse gravity element.
but
It's
they were
not
trying to
reverse.
figure it out. Like he said, it's the only element that they found that there's really no way to make it on Earth.
No, because we don't have the proper tools, or we can't
They
even
think
go
that
from
the
stage
only way to
1
make it would
stage
be
2.
make it in like 0 G gravity.
Oh,
Yeah.
you talked about that
stuff.
perfectly aligned molecules
Yeah.
that you charge
Has to be built in
and
zero
it
gravity.
reverses to 0. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's
tech.
actually
I
an
love
element
it.
that actually reverses gravity.
I've actually
That's
never heard
crazy.
of that, but I've been doing Area 51 research on one.
Well, Bob
Well,
Lazar,
it's-
there's actually a documentary on him on Netflix that they talk about, and it's very informative from what I watched on it. I watched the whole thing. He was talking about how he used to try to explain to people the biometric scanner for your hand,
Yeah.
because the only thing that couldn't be faked on somebody was their bone structure.
Yeah, and it's
Like the
a
length of
hand
their bones
structure,
and
you gotta
things.
press your hand on it.
And it's like these weird little things that like measure and all kinds of shit. And they actually found a photo of it and showed. He's like, that's it. He's like, I've been trying to explain this thing to people for over 20, 30 years now.
So it actually reads your bone structure of your
It
hand.
basically tells you the length of your bones and things like that.
Humans can't control it. We had to hack into it to be able to try and control it.
Yeah, like basically your bones don't change their size
Yeah.
unless they get smaller from being broke or something like that.
But then they'd show a fracture and
Exactly.
the healing point. Yeah.
Panel reads the DNA.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
sure that's all in the
Wow.
records and shit too, so it's going to notice those things.
Yeah.
Now
I've
you
never
think
heard
about
of
the
that.
stuff they're keeping this technology secret, and really I understand the reasoning. If you have an enemy, you don't want them to get a hold of the same technology you have.
And of course it's going to be a secret.
And you know what I'm saying? What's the saying? A person can keep a secret. 2 people can't, or 3 people can't. Whatever. I don't
The
remember.
more
the saying.
people who know, the more likely it's going to get out.
Right,
I've
right.
seen this saying as 3 people can keep a secret if only one of them is still alive.
Right. 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are
Yeah,
dead. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
saw that. I have a book that has that in it. It's actually
What's
sounds
the
pretty
book?
cool. It actually has nothing to do with it. It's just a book that has like little quotes between the chapters.
Title?
Not offhand, no, because I haven't read it in much.
right. You know, I think one of my favorite quotes is actually from the movie Men in Black, where they're talking about why they don't disclose all the information. It's a person is smart. Talking to a single person, they can be like, "Wow, that's interesting information." But people are dumb, panicky, something.
Their religious structure. They're gonna, because it's not in their Bible. it's not in the Bible and they see it, like it's really here, but it's not in the Bible, so they're gonna freak out.
It's not just that. It's we are social creatures, which in turn makes us more or less herd animals. And when you think of herd animals like cattle or sheep, well, lightning strikes. It only takes one to panic, and the rest of them just take off with him, not even realizing why the first one's panic. I tell you, the best experiment to prove this: stand behind the corner of a wall, right? Wait till two people are walking towards you. They could be walking calmly. Come out running and say, "Run! Run!" and take off as fast as you can.
I've seen those videos.
Guarantee 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they're taking off running with you,
Yeah, the
not
pros.
even knowing why.
I've seen them on Facebook.
I've seen those videos like
Yeah,
that.
on Facebook, man.
Right, and then that just proves the theory of the social creature is the same as a herd animal, and a group of people will follow the one that panics
Orson
because
Welles was an experiment, by the way. Orson Welles, it was told that Orson Welles was hired to do it by the government to see if the panic would panic. He said, "Imagine right now."
He's on his radio show.
Yeah, extra.
Yeah, War of the Worlds.
Exactly, it's a radio show. Orson Welles, imagine right now, they're looking down upon us, and they're watching us right now. Like, he scared the hell out of them, and they created
Well,
a
and
panic.
also too, they had never really heard anything like that before on the
It
radio.
was a test by the government, by the Majestic 12, actually, that's the so-called river.
and
It
that
was a test to see
that
if we could handle it,
actually
and we couldn't
makes
We
sense.
could not handle it, and that's why they're not going to reveal
I mean, just think
if we have aliens.
they told it
Yeah,
at
there's
the
people calling
beginning.
into the police departments and whatnot.
They
Exactly,
told it at the
okay.
beginning that
It's like
it was a story, but people didn't listen to that beginning. They hear it and it sounds like a true news report,
They flip
and
out.
people killed themselves.
Panicked.
People
Running over, causing wrecks is total chaos.
didn't even see anything. It's just total chaos.
It
Yeah,
was an experiment.
I can completely see that. I
Yeah.
can completely see
Actually,
that.
I can now that it's been brought to light.
Yeah.
That wasn't a theory I thought of.
Right. I didn't even think of that theory, but it makes perfect sense.
I mean,
And-
he was a great writer. So
Uh-huh.
he was well known back then for the shit.
But if they get his
Yeah.
book and they're like, "Man, this is perfect. Let's run this experiment using you."
I think it's a violent theory because, like I said, he was a very well-known writer.
And everybody would listen, everybody would listen to him.
So they got him on the radio because there wasn't no TV back then. They got him on that old Victrola and said,
Mm-hmm.
and it could have also been a prank with the radio station too. But if the government said, "Get him on that old Victrola, look, we don't tell you and pay you whatever amount of money, and I want you to take some of the stuff you wrote in your book. I want you to make it sound real as possible, make this sound like a news report, newsreel, and let's see what happens."
Yeah.
They may have informed some other. Actually, no, they didn't inform any of the government police departments or the agencies. They just told them to do it. It was a nationwide radio broadcast, and people lost their minds.
Right.
Ran out, didn't see nothing, but was still losing everything.
Right. And all it took is that one to panic, and then passed on to the next one, and it passed on the next one. I think that, honestly, I believe in the law of attraction. You know what I'm saying? And I think your brain works on wave frequency, just like radios.
Yep.
And it is a ripple effect. As you're putting the thought process out, it absorbs.
Alpha and beta waves.
There you go. It is absorbed by the next receiver and passed on and continues the ripple effect across. So all it takes, just like the herd of cattle that's spooked by one lightning strike, and only one of them had to spook, it just passes on. And we, as a group of people, will continue to absorb the frequencies of the next person beside us.
And as Orson Welles said, there are entities out there who are more advanced than we are mentally. Maybe they are controlling us. They're controlling us all.
Ooh.
Goes back to that Matrix theory we talked about.
What if
Holographic
like
universe.
we talk about what the 13 families of the Illuminati or blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Whatever name you want to give them at any one time.
12. It's a Majestic 12.
Well, see, the Majestic 12 is the same thing.
Yeah, it's
But
12.
the reason why it's called Majestic 12 is because there's one above them, which is the 13th. And they're like the 12 disciples of Jesus type thing.
It's like
Because if you look back in history, all the people that were considered to be the light bringer always usually had 12 disciples or apostles or whatever.
History repeats itself.
go back to the story of Atlantis. Atlantis was both a city and a country. You had the city Atlantis and you had the 12 subordinate kingdoms. You had the 1 and you had the 12. You have Horus. Horus was the 1 and he had 12. You have Jesus.
The god of time. The god of time. The god of time. Horus.
He was also the god of death too, I believe, wasn't he?
No, that was Anubis.
Yeah.
Horus is one of the gods of time.
Huh.
From 1 to 12.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's why you have a clock from 1 to 12.
Huh. I did not
Instead
know
of
that. That's
24.
interesting.
The eye of time.
You know, one thing I see with the eye, you can trace that all the way back to, again, Atlantis. And while we're looking in the ocean and everything like that, there is a structure in northern Africa, the Ricard structure, however you pronounce it, and they call it the Eye of the Sahara. And it actually looks like the eye. The measurements are exactly of what Atlantis is supposed to be. Plato said Atlantis was destroyed by water but buried in mud and sand.
It was an island. It was sort of an island attached with land. It was between an island and a valley mixed together.
Mhm.
And then it caved in and became an island and then it sunk because of their technology.
There was something recently I seen where I think they found the jewelry everywhere it was, and it was like somewhere like the Key West or somewhere like some tropical area near a continent.
Here's what I see with that.
Triangle is.
Here's what I see with that. We're finding a lot of structures and cities that are underwater now. Okay,
Yep.
but we have ancient maps that list where Atlantis is in northern Africa, and that's the city Atlantis. Now remember, there are 12 subordinate kingdoms too. So we have maps that tell us Atlantis is here, right by the Atlas Mountains, and Atlas was the first king, and this is exactly where it's at. There were elephants there, like Plato said.
And the reason the Bermuda Triangle area is so chaotic because a powerful technology they had sunk beneath the ocean, and it doesn't rust. It never deteriorates. It's still there. That's why there's always a cyclone of energy in that particular area.
Yeah, allegedly, we found a crystal pyramid or something like that. I don't know if that's true, because you got to take a lot of this with a grain of salt because it can't be proven. They're like, oh, we found it. Oh, here's pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't go back.
Exactly.
Well, I think it was last year a Japanese tanker came out of the Bermuda Triangle.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was last year, the year before. It was around summertime. It said a Japanese tanker just appeared out of nowhere from the Bermuda Triangle, and it ran aground. Like, there was no one on it,
Right.
and it was apparently a tanker that was been missing since I think the 80s. But
Now-
it ran aground. I think somewhere around New York.
Time travel.
That brings up an interesting concept where we're talking about the energies and the energy vortex, and think the theory of relativity. Space-time is a fabric together.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
space-time is the same thing based on Einstein's versus Podolsky's philosophical.
And if you could actually cause a gravimetric effect that would warp space-time in that way.
Well, actually, photons, photons are their own antiparticles.
Right.
Any type of light, their own antiparticles, they actually warp space and time themselves.
I did not know that.
They have a constant speed. You cannot, this constant speed of light is a certain.
Now we've actually proven that that's not true
Right.
either, because light does not travel, the speed of light can change when traveling through a medium. So if it can travel...
It's only one constant speed. It never changes.
No, traveling through a medium, it does change. It really
Talking
does.
about in a vacuum.
No, through a medium. If it's traveling
A vacuum
through,
medium.
Through,
Say like
glass or something like
glass
that.
or lights. Is
No, they
like,
can actually They can actually capture it in acrylic. They call it Lichtenberg figures.
Right.
You can actually order them online. But I'm talking about the speed of light itself. Within a vacuum or non-vacuum, the speed of light is constant.
Mhm.
Even if you're on a train and someone is not on a train, they both have flashlights. It's pointing the same way. You're on a speeding train. This guy is stationary on the subway. You're on a train, going a lot faster, and he's standing right here. You both turn your flashlights on at the same time. Both light particles go the same speed. One constant speed, the speed of light.
yeah, but it's,
I actually looked this up because I had the same discussion with someone recently. Light traveling through a medium does not stay at a constant speed. At the same time, you can affect light with gravity, which will affect the speed
Well,
of the
photons,
photons.
they work their own gravity. They're like, when they stop, the period where the photons stop, that's what we call the event horizon.
I do know that certain mediums changes the intensity of it, which is one of the actual downfalls of using laser weapons or just lasers in general. Because shit like fog and clouds screws up the light particles and intensity and breaks them up more, especially really fog and really humid fog.
Yeah, they can be affected by outside mediums.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's basically it. When you affect particles with an outside force, it can
Temperature.
change
You
that.
can affect photons with temperature. You can
Now,
affect with
have you seen those solar sails that they were talking about using at one time to make space sailboats, more or less?
That reminds me of.
I remember that.
At first they were talking about using the sun, but you could only go so far away. So then they talked about using high-powered lasers and shooting them into the solar sails
For the propel, for propelling them.
for propulsion to move it forward. Say it'd take a long time to speed up, but the energy required would be less than some of our fuels, and the capability to go at higher speeds because you would continue to accelerate constantly.
Well, the main thing was also running off the light, but the main purpose was catching solar winds.
That reminds me of Treasure Planet.
Treasure
Yeah.
Planet.
I mean, that's where they got the idea from. Well, one of the ideas is it's also based on an actual book.
Yeah, right. But
They flipped it around a little bit.
I think it works instead of on photons. I think it works on like tachyon propulsion, doesn't it?
Tachyon speeds. Tachyons, there are one particular particle that's called neutrinos. They're in the tachyon field. They actually can travel faster than light because they're so small. Particularly, they can go through an atom. So fast as they go off through a whole galaxy within several seconds. And that's faster than a photon can go. That's why they say the only particle that's faster than photons are neutrinos.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah, plus tachyons are supposed to be able to measure.
You know what's faster than the speed of light?
I said tachyon.
The speed of darkness.
A black man who just stole something.
Here, say it again. Say it again.
Oh, say it louder for the guys in the back.
Say it again. Say it. Just fucking them up. Fuck them up.
Oh man.
Just comedy.
Especially me with Mike.
He's on a mission.
Damn.
You choked me up with that one. Oh, that's
About
great.
the only thing he chokes you up with. Knowledge.
and this all right. This makes it crazy. All right, subatomic particles. right, can exist in multiple places at the same time until you take measurement of it.
The double slit experiment.
The double slit experiment. The particles actually take measurement themselves and know where they're going before they're even shot out.
But in the act of observation, the act of observing them, messes with their course.
And that's crazy.
A conscious mind from a human being. We're conscious, we're seeing this. It interacts with their interaction.
Ooh. Now here's the crazy thing about that, all right? So if these subatomic particles don't have a fixed point until you take measurement, right?
Does that mean measurement actually messes with their course?
Does that mean that everything made up of these particles doesn't truly exist in one physical form until we take measurement of it?
Exactly.
Ooh.
We're all conscious minds on this planet and this universe, this multiverse, this omniverse.
Welcome to OmEn Online.
I just had to look into that. I had to give them some like creepy stuff.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. We talking science and Johnny feels left out over here.
No, I don't. I just haven't. Y'all are talking and I don't want to interrupt, and I haven't had anything to add to it yet.
Oh.
Because y'all are going to good enough on your all's own. Once I have something to add, I'll join in.
So what if these particles
break.
existing in multiple places at the same time until they take measurement is how your morphin device works when you become a Power Ranger? Ooh. It's like, measure it.
He's going down.
Whew.
It's morphin time.
Go Power Rangers!
Basically, they just change.
Multiverse Zord.
Oh, multiverse.
We'll call him Multi-Zord.
We could go back and
he'll be like a Swiss Army knife.
Now, we've measured these particles down to their quarks, but there is a theory that beyond quarks, they are
One
just...
dimensional strings and then there's quantum foam.
Oh, man. Vibrating strings. I love it.
I'm just sitting here thinking, and you said with these molecules that can exist in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
That actually reminds me of something I was reading, and I don't know how well it correlates, but when it comes to Beast Boy, he's been shown to turn into animals he's never turned into on planets and planes that he's never been to except for that first time. I wonder if that correlates in any kind of way in that theory.
Well, maybe, but I think the way that works is if he sees it at least once, he can do it.
But he, like you just said, he's turned into things from places he's never been and he's never seen.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. You know how he became the way he is, don't you? He was dying and he needed a blood transfusion, and the Martian girl, Manhunter's niece,
right.
Gave him a blood transfusion of her. And that's how he got his changing power.
See, and that brings up a new thing. We've recently found out.
That's more of the new 52 thing. But going along with that, Teen Titans movie Judas Contract. No, not Judas Contract, but the other one where they had what got Raven was one of the beasts he turned into was something that they never even saw, didn't attack him, or never around, which was that dragon-looking thing. Now he did turn into the bird-looking thing because those are the main things flying around and fighting. But he also turned into this Bigfoot werewolf-looking thing too.
That's what I'm saying is it could have been in the DNA that he received.
That's what I was going at. We've recently discovered that there is genetic memory passed on from generation to generation. You have a genetic memory. So what if he absorbed that genetic memory from her? But that brings on another thing. What if past lives aren't really past lives? What if they're genetic memory of ancestors? Think about this, all right? When you raise an animal away from other animals of its species, it still has character traits of survival that it was never taught.
Genetic memory.
Genetic memory. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. What if you could tap into that memory and learn everything
and update it?
And update it at the same time.
That is an idea, because anyone who's ever had a single pet from his infancy to his adult realizes, and a good example of that is cats. Anyone who's just got a kitten,
I'm a cat man,
and it's your only cat, And as it grows up, it does cat shit. And you're like,
That's right.
How is it doing this cat shit? And it ain't seen no
And
cat.
you can look at
It's
it.
not looking out the window watching stray
It's talking
cats.
about like a pet you adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you got a kid. Like when I had a border collie, my border collie
It wasn't raised by its mother. Just
my border collie was taken from the farm, and it was given to me. It grew up in that neighborhood on that block,
And it still acts like a dog.
but yet it still would try and hurt
And
me.
cats still remember when they were worshipped in Egypt, those little bastards.
Guardians of the underworld.
My border collie was still has that hurting instinct to try to hurt me and any other kids around. Is what it would do.
So
But yet it's never been around any other border collie except for his parents when they just weaned.
right.
Genetic memory.
Genetic memory. So how much of that do we actually have that we ignore? How much of that could we actually tap into? Could past lives be tapping into genetic memory instead of actual
We're
past
dealing with
lives?
human consciousness. We use more percentage of the brain than animals do. So yes, I can relate to that. Like we were saying.
Right.
Totally different phenomena.
Of course, it is to say if all the lives are past lives.
Right.
Not parallel lives, alternate lives, the lives we ain't lived yet. Once we've died from this life and moved on.
But what if that is truly it? Your immortality is passing on your genetic memory to the next generation. What if that is your immortality?
I mean, it's possible we pass on our genetic traits.
Because your consciousness, who you are, is built off of your experiences. So if those experiences are so ingrained in your mind that they affect you, that you pass them on to the children you have through your genetics.
Because not all children are the same that you have. You know, they take different traits.
Well,
Attributes, yes.
think of trauma, okay? You have a normal family line for a long time, then all of a sudden you have one with extreme trauma, and then they have kids, and then those kids have a tendency to create or go through that same drama.
I mean, it seems legit. People say alcoholism is genetic, and to me that doesn't make sense. But I mean, if you look at it, if you look at that and then you look at what you said, I mean, it seems legit.
well, I look at it as it's genetic, but at the same time,
alcohol addiction.
oh, go ahead.
Then I mean, the other genetic stuff that should be able to pass through. I mean,
All the other traits.
unless someone has some sort of watching has
and-
some sort of detracting comment.
And we'll go the other
about that
direction
or
with
any
it
of
too.
this.
We'll go the other direction with it
We
too.
don't want to put
If
out wrong
you
information.
can put yourself in a mindset of good, loving, caring, and doing well for people, and you can do that so much that it's ingrained into your life and you ingrain that into your genes, could it be passed on as well to your children to where you create a better world just by passing on these vibes? One, through the law of attraction, where you're passing on just like we were talking about with the herd mentality, and two, through your genetic traits, pass it on to the next generation. I mean,
so.
that's my hope for mankind. That's my hope for the world. And I
Well, we're
love
gonna have to
see
deal
it.
with it. We're gonna have to rely on that.
Right. There's going to be a time where you're going to be old or in a nursing home or need to depend on
Someone
the next
else.
generation for something. Whether it's going to McDonald's and trusting the next generation to make your food properly and not spit in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, simple moral values. There's what you teach, and there's what is ingrained in you from the way you live.
Yeah, you just innately know these things.
Genetic memory.
Genetic
I worked in food for 16 years, and I not once ever spit or fucked with anybody's food because
That's
I didn't want it
disgusting.
to happen to me, and I felt like
That's
karma would kick me in the ass if I
That is
did.
scandalous.
Prepare yourselves for what you are about to experience. You only have seconds left. Let me tell you a story.
So back to the show you're going to be in. Going to be short horror stories, short scary stories. That's awesome. I actually can't wait to see it. But do you have any real life experiences with supernatural ghosts, weird feelings? You know what I'm saying? Anything that just
Chill
creeps you
down your
out?
spine.
Actually, I do. The story is called The Viper.
The Viper.
This is a good one.
Christina at home, taking care of her children. She keeps getting calls from someone saying, "Hello, I am the Viper and I'm coming to you. I am the Viper, I'll be there soon." And she started to freak out. She's freaking out. What's she talking about? The Viper? What? Every other day, I'll say, "I am the Viper and I'm coming to see you." Every other day. And she's freaking out. She doesn't know what to do. But back then, they didn't have caller ID or star 67, so you just had to deal with it. And well, every other week, same phone call. "Hello, I am the Viper. I'm coming to you soon." She lived in a hotel in a building in New York, downtown New York. And she had to deal with this. She didn't know who to ask for help. So she just had to deal with it. "I am the Viper, I'm coming to you soon. I am the Viper, hello." She kept hanging up on him. And then, one day, next week, she heard a knock at the door. She answered the door. It was a maintenance guy with a wiper, with a windshield wiper, saying, "I am the Viper. I'm here to wipe your windows."
I've heard this one before.
I was almost in suspense there for a minute. Oh, that's great. That's great.
I am the Viper.
I am the Viper. I'm coming to wipe your windows.
Oh,
Never
man.
actually said I'm coming to wipe your windows. She said, "I am the Viper. I'm coming to help you."
That's great. That's great.
That's
Now, Johnny, you're a haunt actor, of course, like we've said plenty of times, but you work at Waverly, considered one of the most haunted places in America.
Yes.
What about you? You got any personal experiences? Things that
Once
you've seen?
years ago, which we've talked about, I believe we talked about on last episode with Crozo, where we saw a guy get picked up on the wall and then drop down. And last year, when I was in the room I was in, I could have swore I kept seeing mannequins move around and stuff, like just slightly, like their faces morph a little, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Right, because it's
So-
dark. It could be just your eyes playing tricks.
Well, I
There's
mean,
always that
the area I was in wasn't really dark. It was actually lit up, but it's like creepily lit up and weird, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it could have just been my eyes playing tricks on me.
Can I say something?
But I do know that during, the closer it gets to Halloween or Samhain, activity picks up. Because like lights will start blinking that haven't blinked all season. You know, things will be going on that haven't happened all season.
Right. Now I always see the story of the red ball upstairs, the little kid that plays with you and tosses it back around you. Never
I haven't
seen-
done that myself, but I've had people that I know have done it because they do that on some of the tours.
Right.
They'll do that on most of the like 2-hour or the overnights and stuff. But they don't do it during the mini tours that you get during the haunted house that you can get on VIP.
Right.
They only sell 375 of those a night, VIP.
A night.
Yeah.
All right.
Because-
That's the actual haunt night.
Yeah.
So you only get the mini tour. You don't get the full experience because
No, you don't get the full experience, but they do take you all around the second floor, which is the solarium. They take you all around that pretty much. And when they took us, when I went a couple years ago, because I took a little break from acting for a little bit, in haunted houses, and I had a friend call me and give me one of his free passes to come up there. Well, we got a free mini tour with that too. And we basically, we were up there for about hour, maybe hour and a half. I don't remember exactly total. And we got told a bunch of history and things, and they told us about stuff. And I looked over in this one room at one point, and it looked like a face was looking at me, but I couldn't be for sure because it was kind of in the shadows. And I didn't say anything to anybody until the guy right over here next to me leaned over and went, "Do you see a face?" Because he saw me staring, and he was like, "Do you see a face over there too?" I was like, "Yeah, I just didn't want to say anything so I didn't sound nuts." And so, like, we kind of saw that, but then we also got to go up some of the floors, and they took us up to the 5th floor. Well, I've been on the 5th floor before. I played there when I was a kid some. I didn't really know the history of the place. I just knew it was a rundown fucking building, and I knew there were certain areas not to go into for a little kid. Well, I'd gone up there before with my brother and sister, you know, they talked me into it, you know. Well, I was fine, but this time when I went up there with the tour thing, I got up to the 5th floor and I just felt like I didn't need to be there.
You just got that creepy feeling, you know, like the I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know what's up, but I'm not supposed to be here right now.
Right.
Vibe, you get the vibe.
Yeah, I felt the vibe. So I basically stayed there, and I just stayed there waiting.
Sorry.
What about you, Jax? You ever seen anything that's you thought creepy or freaked you out, or just completely supernatural?
I was dating this trans chick who stayed in Louisville, which is another supposed haunted area in the city.
Now, when you say trans chick, do you mean like it was dude becoming a chick or a chick becoming a dude?
Trans chick, dude becoming a chick.
Okay, just checking. I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure I had the term right.
But she was living in Louisville, which is another major haunted area in the city. But I haven't heard any, you know, paranormal activity going on about it in a couple of years. But she was wanting me to come over, so we was taking back and forth. So I rode my bicycle over there. I texted her, let her know that I was up front, you know, locking my bike up to the fence. And she said she was just about to come out. She was still in the bathroom, getting ready and whatnot. And all of a sudden, not even that much later, I saw her walk from the back room on the 1st floor, which is part of an apartment or something. Walk up. She opened the big wooden door. It's got a full-length window with blinds on it, and shoved the storm door open. As I'm walking, you know, in through the gate and up to the steps, and she lets the storm door slam shut, and the wooden door shuts, and you know the blinds are still moving, and she just kind of walks off, but I can't see her because both doors are shut. So I'm like, so I text her and say, why did you just open the doors and let it close before I got to the doors? And she said, what are you talking about? I'm still upstairs in the bathroom. So I'm like, okay. And then she comes downstairs because the people living there, the storm door has one of those locks where if you turn it one way, it stays locked even if you open it or unlock it, and then it just locks back when it shuts. So she's sitting there struggling with her door key, trying to get the storm door unlocked to get it open, and whatever this is, it looked like her just shoved it open like she was walking in the OK Corral, just turning the knob and went, bam, there you go, and then just kind of just walk straight back. And I'm like, what? You just opened the door and let me in. What's going on? Because I saw her through the blinds coming down the steps to open the door. It was weird. I mean, she didn't think much of it, but I was just kind of concerned because it looked just like her.
Right.
Apparently it was a, I don't know, I think me and somebody else kind of assumed it was a doppelganger. I mean, it could have been some sort of shifter, but we assumed it was a doppelganger.
Oh, yeah.
And it was weird, and, you know, went upstairs because she lived on the third floor. And it's an old building, but once you can hear people coming up and down the steps because, you know, the steps are just along the wall. But it was weird. It kind of creeped me out a little bit because, like, I just saw her open the doors, and I mean, by the time she got down the steps, the blinds were still kind of moving a little bit from when the door slammed shut. You know, the blinds moved around. There was that, and there was some entity going through my apartment one night. Some sort of specter. But it's probably somebody that lived in the area at the time they died, because it looked like a hoodie, like a FUBU hoodie or a Fat Farm hoodie or something. It had the hood up. It just moved through the apartment. I plugged my phone up, had the alarm set, sitting on my windowsill. Mind you, my phone's plugged up. Radio's on. Phone dies, or it's turned off.
While it's plugged up.
Yeah, while it's plugged up. And I'm like, I was probably 10 minutes into shutting the TV off and going to bed. And I just kind of peek, and I just see it just move right past my bed. And I'm like, because the first thing I heard is my phone die, I turn it off or whatever. A little bit of static on the radio, but the radio didn't get bothered too much. And then I'm like, couldn't move, couldn't say anything. I just had that one eye open. And when I woke up the next morning, checked my phone was indeed off. I knew it was off because the music player at the time, if the phone died, you turn off, the music player resets. So whatever you played last is not there. The whole playlist resets. I'm like, shit really happened. What the fuck?
Right.
It's like the two big ones I've had.
I do have another one that I just thought of a moment ago. There was this one time, me and Crozo were out at this house out in Shepherdsville with this chick he knew. And this house was basically shaped like a cross. And there was one night we were over there hanging out, and we heard some noises outside. Well, he opens the door, walks out just a little bit onto the deck, and looks down the stairs that go down, and saw a little girl that looked like she was wearing like a Southern Belle type outfit or something. And he started saying something to her, and then all of a sudden she started to walk towards the steps, and then as soon as she hit the bottom step, disappeared. He ran in, shut the door, and like jumped into the bed where we were all hanging out and shit, and we started hearing some scratching on the door and shit.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, it was crazy. It was creepy as fuck out there in the middle of the night because it was almost in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And I mean, the tree that was hanging on the property, you could still see a little bit of a noose where a man was hung from it once.
Okay.
Like, you know, just up by the branch area.
They left the rope up there?
They never took it down. They never cut the tree down or nothing because it was basically stuck up there.
Right.
But he basically, like every now and then, especially at night, you would look over that way, and sometimes you think I don't know if you think you saw it or what, but you could see what looked to me like a shadow of someone hanging there.
Oh, wow, that's creepy.
And at nighttime, it was real creepy because if you went into like the living room, there were a lot of windows that were like low to the ground and shit. There'd be bunches of cats out there, like in Sleepwalkers by Stephen King. How the cats would hang out outside the house. They'd be hanging outside the house looking in and shit. And it was real creepy.
Yeah, I could see that.
I only ever went there a couple times because I didn't want to go back.
I can believe it. If you saw shadows of people hanging, yeah, I wouldn't want to go back either.
That, people and noises. Plus, one night we were over there, we were hanging out in the room and we were talking, and we saw a shadow go across the hallway area like it was going into the bathroom. Well, we went and looked in the bathroom, and nothing in there, because there was no way else, no other way out. You know what I'm saying? From that bathroom, it was one way in, one way out.
Was there a window in it?
No, it was in the middle of the house.
Hmm.
Like it had no windows or nothing. It was just a closed off bathroom. And I mean, we were like freaked the fuck out. The only good part about that is she had her own bathroom in her bedroom, so we didn't have to worry about going into that bathroom.
Like,
Because needless to say,
Nope.
Yeah, for hell of that bathroom.
needless to
That
say,
bathroom
I
is
had to go to the
called
bathroom after that.
Yeah. Quarantine that thing off. Hell of that one bathroom.
And I mean, the place was just creepy and weird, man. But at the same time, it was kind of cool, but I wouldn't want to live there.
right,
I
right.
don't think I want to live there either.
Going to visit is one thing. Having to deal with it every single day would be just a completely separate issue.
I'd
I
have
can see
to
that.
I'd have to throw
After a while, you get used to it. What was that?
rooms,
Mhm.
everything. I'd have to mix salt.
I think the only thing that was helping the house to keep anything bad out of it was the fact that it was shaped like a cross.
Wow.
But I don't know that for a fact. You know, that's just my opinion.
Now it would depend on which way you're looking at the cross. 'Cause,
Yeah, I
like
know.
you go to the front and it's the right way, and then you go to the back and it's upside down.
The front of the house was the tip of the cross.
right,
So the back of the house where her room was the bottom of the cross.
right, right.
Because her room was at the very back of the house. It was almost like a shotgun house that it had a second story put on it, but it was sideways like a cross.
Oh, a frickin' well, that wouldn't be. Like a camelback but sideways. That's weird.
Yeah, pretty much. And there was only 2 bedrooms upstairs where that other way went.
Right? Strange.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, if I did that and I put a second story just for 2 bedrooms, I think the lower story I'd make like covered patio areas or something like that. Go ahead and make it a whole wraparound porch. You might as well.
Well, where that was when you came down the steps, you were basically in the living room, and the kitchen was right over here, and the living room started here and over, and the fireplace was like right here
Right.
and stuff. And the thing is, the first time I remember going over there, it was winter time, and we were having to hang out in the living room to keep the fire going in the fireplace so we had heat. Because their house didn't have regular heat. The only way to get heat was through the fireplace.
Hmm.
It kind of sucked.
Right?
But at the same time, is what it is. Lived it.
Now
Made it
that brings
through.
up a whole nother thing. How spoiled are we by the technology we have now? I mean, just think of it. It took 100 years to go from horse and buggy to the moon.
That's
right?
actually way past our timeline.
1860 to 1960.
That's actually way early for our timelines
Well,
of things.
Hold on.
We're in more spoiled now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, we look back, 1860, right? Horse and buggy traveling across the country. 1960, we're landing on the moon. What, it was like 64 or something, I don't remember exactly, but 60s to 60s. Now we're not in the next 60s yet, so that was 100 years, and now we're 159 years. We went from horse and buggy to, God, I have to have air conditioning in my house at all times.
Spoiled.
Spoiled, completely spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
Not me. My apartment complex doesn't have air conditioning unless you get a window unit.
Except for Jax. Jax is not spoiled. He's suffering in the 1860s.
I would love to get rid of. I actually wish I never even accepted that window unit.
So yeah, you're not even in the 1860s because you got a bike. When was the bike invented?
Oh,
19,
That's a good one.
1800s was it?
1800s.
Really?
Yep.
That far back?
the bike was out. It just wasn't good enough to use to go across
See,
terrain.
I remember the first bikes, the real huge front wheel with the little bitty back
That was
wheel,
the
seeing
first
pictures
bike.
of it.
Was it Schwinn? Was Schwinn with the first bike?
Nope,
Schwinn?
no. The first bikes were built in about I think 1700s, maybe even earlier actually.
For
Really?
circuses?
Maybe in 1600s.
For circuses.
horses.
They called them hobby horses. They were
Yeah.
all wood. They didn't steer. They didn't have pedals or drivetrain. You basically just held the handlebar things and you just walked with it.
One big wheel and one tiny wheel.
No, the wheels were the same size. It's just like a wood spine with wheels on it.
You walking it
just
kind
sit
of
on
like.
it. You sit on it and you walk. And I believe they were called hobby horses. And then
Like-
later on, the high wheelers came out, which like the penny farthings and what y'all talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
They began in the circuses first.
And those were the way those worked was the bigger the front wheel, the faster the bike would go.
Yeah, the big giant front wheel and a tiny little back wheel.
Yeah, but there was different sizes because for a certain speed.
Variation.
Yeah.
See, and this
then
just
after
proves
that
that Jax doesn't just know cars; he knows forms of transportation.
After that, what came what we know as bikes today was the safety bicycle.
Uh-huh.
Because using those high wheels was hard. Because you had to grab it, you had to kick off on it, get it rolling, then you had to
Hop
throw your
up.
foot over it, and then you had to throw your foot over it and climb. You had to climb up it and catch the pedal if it was a really big one.
Oh wow!
So they came out with bikes that had two regular size wheels, which like we know today, those are called a safety bicycle because you could just egress and
Man, you'd think the guy that invented those high wheelers would look at it and say, "Man, this is a bad idea." I think I've overcomplicated this just a little bit.
Well, there was also somebody that made a reverse of it where the big wheel in the back, where the wheel in the back was higher than the one in the front. You steered the front one.
Right.
But it's still the same premise was the bigger the wheel in the front, the faster you go. Because it's like a unicycle, it's direct drive.
Right. Direct drive. There's no gears,
Yeah.
gear ratios.
And I mean, you have what they call a spoon brake, and that's it. Which is just like it's a metal kind of spoon-shaped thing, and it just pressed down on the hard, solid rubber tire.
Now,
And
if
that's
you
how
actually
stop.
had to climb up, just think when you start braking, you're like, all right, I'm slow enough. Let me slide down real quick.
That's how you had to do it.
Yeah, because if you hit a brake on any one of them, you're going to flip over more than likely.
You had to slow down enough to actually get off. Then the spoon brake, if it even had a brake on it, it was not like you're not locking it up. It's a lot of them, because that was actually one of the first brakes on bikes. It was a metal rod up to the lever, and it just pressed down a piece of metal onto the tire. It slowed it down. I don't know how well it stopped it, but it slowed it down enough so you could stop it.
You know it's going to wear off the traction of that tire too.
Right.
It's metal rubbing against rubber. It was rubber back then.
And just think, you hit the top of a hill and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm fucked.
Hand full of brake. Hand full of brake. But they bicycles predate automobiles by leaps and bounds. Real. I can't pin it down at the moment, but it was a long time.
But if you actually,
the roads were originally for horse and buggies, pedestrians, and bicycles.
if you really truly look at history, they had things like they had steam engines. They had not just chariots. Leonardo da Vinci had his own tanks.
Yeah, he invented that first engine actually. It's not his artwork.
He was way ahead of his time. But even before him, in the Library of Alexandria, now we have some information on these steam engines that were basically, here's a glass tube with water in it with two vent pipes that come out, and you put a fire underneath of it, and that caused steam, which caused the pressure to make it spin.
Heat, steam, kinetic energy.
I forgot what that engine was called. I was actually watching something on it not too long ago, but I forgot what the engine was called. And Leonardo da Vinci, he made a metal version of it. You know, it was brass or copper.
Yeah, it lasts a lot longer. Metals.
Right.
I mean, the engine didn't do anything. It was
I mean, if you really think about it, the first cars were mostly just steam engines.
No, the first car.
Well, I mean, it's different.
Ford,
The combustion.
The Model T Ford was actually the first automobile.
But they actually had some before that they had electric cars.
The very first car, or I'll say
Automobile?
horseless carriage, was actually built by Mercedes. Not Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes.
Right.
They used a small carriage. They had a gasoline engine. You controlled it with a tiller. I mean, some of us seen those old pictures where the people riding, and they got the tiller right there.
Who created the engine?
The engine's been created.
That's a good one. Who did create the engine?
Because there's different types of engines, though, out there.
Yeah, but
Engine is an engine. Runs off of fire spark.
Well, not all, because...
Internal combustion.
Well, okay, an internal combustion, because I was going to say a locomotive
That
is
was
just a
Ford.
steam
They made
engine.
the first automobile right off of internal combustion was Ford.
he just revolutionized the
He
assembly
made it.
line.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
revolutionized
Ford
assembly
was
line.
He bought the patent.
Ford made
Probably bought
Ford
the patent
was-
for it, but...
Ford was the first American car, but it's not the first car. Mercedes built it.
Yeah, Ford's revolutionized
What
was.
land was Mercedes in?
Germany.
Germany. So it began in Germany then.
Just think of how much technology actually began in Germany. We
A
wouldn't
lot.
have had the space race without Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a space race.
Invented modern rocketry. The people's car with the Volkswagen. Revolutionized the automobile industry and his country. Ford really got the assembly line up and running, and mass production of automobiles. That's really where he kicked in.
He also-
You could have a car any color you wanted as long as it's black. I remember that old saying.
Yeah, and he also revolutionized people getting days off from work.
You know what? I read an article on him. He didn't like giving people time off. He hated it.
But he had
hated
to.
it, but he realized that if he didn't give people time off,
drive the fastest.
who would actually buy the cars to go on vacation?
Or to travel to do
Not
whatever
only
he
that,
needed to do.
Or rent.
Right. And not only that, he actually came up with the idea, I'll give my employees a discount plan so they can drive it around and make everybody else jealous and keeping up with the Johnsons next door. You know what I'm saying?
Keeping up with the Johnsons, metaphor. Keeping up with the Johnsons.
But he
It's-
also, when people worked for him, when he built his big mass plant, they all lived around it, and they basically had to live a certain way or they could not work at Ford.
Wow.
He made them, they had to dress a certain way, act certain ways, they had to learn, they had to know English, read and write it.
See, and that brings up another change in society caused by the automobile.
We wouldn't have Dodge.
People used to live close to where they worked. Downtown used to be the wealthy metropolitan area, and now that we have cars, the wealthy have moved away from the cities as far as possible,
Sprouted.
and the reverse has happened. The less wealthy have become the inner city.
Yeah, it's a sprawl. If it wasn't for Henry Ford, we wouldn't have Dodge.
Right?
Yep, you learned that in the movie Seabiscuit.
Because John and Horace Dodge worked for Henry Ford. When they started making their car company, they used the Model A truck frames for their Dodge trucks.
Really?
Yep.
It's interesting.
And then they eventually started making their own around like 1916. I believe.
Wow, that
Who was
brings
it?
new meaning to the whole Ford term "fucked over, rebuilt Dodge." That kind of reverses it too.
Yeah.
You know? Oh man,
It
we
does.
used your frame, but we're going to call you a rebuilt one of ours.
Well, it's kind of like how they did with the Shelby Mustang.
Now that was a whole other thing. That guy bought the cars, redesigned certain aspects of them to his own specifications, and then rebranded it under his name.
Mm-hmm.
Ford actually let him do that to their cars because the Shelby Cobra Mustang didn't come out until after he did the Shelby Cobra.
Right.
The
You're
AC
right.
Cobra
The coupe, the Cobra coupe.
Because he saw the British racing cars and he wanted something like that because they handle better than American cars. So he wanted something like that with an American engine in it, and Ford's the one that gave him the 427s, and I think the 427s and another engine to put in them. You know, when he started being a success, they were like, and then the Mustang came about, they were like, what can you do with this? Do something with that. And then, you know, they were sold to Ford dealers. They just had him, they gave him the cars to outfit, and he gave them back to them, and they sold them, and he got paid for them.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Modifications.
But, I mean, this has been some really great topics. We are coming to the end of our show now. I think we've covered a lot of good subjects. Again, it's been really fun having Jax back with us, and Erik. Definitely a great guest. I look forward to seeing more of you. And Johnny on the spot with us as always. Of course, I'm Adam. Now, again, don't forget, subscribe,
Like,
And hit the bell.
hit
And
the
share.
bell, share it with your friends, leave a comment, tell us what you think.
yeah,
you
we
got
really
any
wanna
opinions
know.
on what we talk about, just tell us about them.
Or if we're wrong about something, let us know.
Yeah.
And we've said this before, you know, if it's within our ability to do it and you want to be a guest on the show, we might be able to make it happen.
That'd be nice. Oh man, but great times. Hope to see you again next time. Y'all have a great day.
Good night, y'all.